Welcome to lesson 1-5. That's topic 1, lesson 5. We're dividing fractions by fractions today. Just to try and get a handle on what we're actually doing in the physical world, we're going to start by doing some modeling to see. In this case, Simon is buying a half a yard of material. And he's going to be making these foot bag things like hacky sacks or whatever. And each of those foot bags takes 1/6 of a yard of fabric, and we want to know how many foot bags he can make. So I'm going to draw a bit of an area model here to look at that. Now, just to kind of talk about what we're looking at, a yard is a linear unit, but material is bought by the yard, and I'm not a sewer seamstress kind of guy, but there's a certain standard width that goes with that. So when we talk about a half a yard, it's some kind of square units. Well, anyway, here is a full yard, and I'm going to break that up into halves. So there is my half of a yard, and now I need to see how many sixths I can make out of that. So I'm going to divide that whole yard again, but this time I'm going to do it into sixths. So that's going to be 6 equal parts. So now I have 6 equal parts, and here's 1/6, and another 6th, and another 6th, and another 6th, and another 6th, one more 6th. And you can see in my half a yard, I was able to get 3 pieces. So 1/2 divided into groups that are 1/6 in size gives me 3. Okay, now we can also use a number line for this, and I'm going to use my number line to represent 1/6 times 3 equaling 1/2 and see if this can be reversed. Okay, so I've broken my number line up into sixths, and here is 1/6. There's one group, 2 groups, 3 groups of 1/6 indeed gives me 1/2. So there we go. Okay, now we're going to use a different kind of model to divide fractions. We want to know how many 3/4 cup servings can I get out of 2/3 cup of yogurt. So I'm going to do a comparison model with some bars. And we can see from these bars that 3/4, you can't get 3/4 cup of serving if you only have 2/3 cup of yogurt. You can't get a complete serving because 3/4 is greater than 2/3. So we're going to find what fraction of a serving that we could get. Now to do this, what we have to do is make sure we're comparing apples to apples, so to speak. In other words, we need to compare fractions that have the same denominator. So we need a common denominator, and in this case that's going to be 12ths. Now I'm going to divide both those bars so that they're both in 12ths. Alright, now they're all both in 12ths, so I can compare kind of the same thing. And we can see right here, there is a full serving. And that full serving is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 parts. 9 parts. And of those 9 parts, I have 8 of them. So I have 8/9 of a serving. In other words, 2/3 divided into groups of 3/4 equals 8/9. Okay, that was pretty tricky. We're going to ask you to do the same thing. Okay, and so I would first start by drawing your 2 bars in 4ths and 8ths, and then seeing where you go from there. So here's our model here to start you out. We have 1/4 and we have 3/8, and we want to know how many groups of 3/8 I can get out of 1/4. And of course you can't even get a whole group of 3/8 out of it. So we're going to have a fraction of a group. So give that a shot. Okay, now we're going to use the standard algorithm, and I think you're going to actually find this way easier than the model. Andrew has 3/4 of a gallon of orange juice, and we want to pour it into 1/6 gallon containers, and we want to know how many containers we can fill. So we have, if we do a quick model, we have 3/4 of a gallon And I want to know how many 1/6. So there's 1, maybe 2. How many? Well, it looks like I'm taking 3/4 and I'm dividing it by 1/6. And as we learned in our last lesson, there was a pattern we discovered that dividing by 1/6 is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So this is equal to 3/4 times 6/1. And I can do some reducing before I multiply this. I can divide top and bottom by 2, and I get 2 here and 3 here. And then when I multiply, 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 1 is 2, and I get 9/2. Of course, we don't like an improper fraction. So 2 goes into 9 4 times with 1/2 left over. So my answer is 4.5 containers. Okay, here's another problem, a little different. We have the area formula, which is area is length times width. And we already know the area, according to this, is 1/2 of a mile. We know the length is 3/4 of a mile, and we're trying to find the width. So we substituted in here for the area, 1/2, the length, 3/4, and the width we don't know. Now, just like 12 equals 3 times 4, well, and we can reverse this and say, well, 12 divided by 3 should equal 4. We have the fact family. We could do the same here, where we have 1/2 divided by 3/4, and I'm left with my W. Well, now we just have to crank through it. So we have 1/2 times the reciprocal, and that's going to equal 2/3, and in this case we have miles. Okay, we have some straight up practice here. We're going to solve all of these with the standard algorithm. That means if you have some number divided by some other number, we're going to change that number times its reciprocal. And go ahead and give these a try. We'll go over them in class. All right, take care.